Okay, we've nearly finished restoring the second Villiers water-cooled engine. We're not far off of having it run for the first time, to be honest, but it has needed a lot more work than the other one. The water jacket was leaking pretty much everywhere. It had a knock here, a knock around the back, so all the top was split, all the bottom had rusted through. It was in a bit of a state, this one. The coil was also dead, so it's needed a fair little bit of work. But Make Do and Mend One very kindly offered to solder up the top joint here, and then we have used JB Weld, or it's actually called JB Water Weld, this one. It's like a two-part sort of putty. It's supposed to seal stuff underwater, so we've used that around here. It's been put all around pretty much everywhere. Still leaks a little tiny bit. I don't think I'm ever going to get it completely watertight. The other one dribbles a little bit as well, but once they warm up they seem to stop leaking, so I'm not too worried about that. So it's had a new coil in it as well. Make Do and Mend One sorted that one out for us. So this has actually got the longer than long type coil in it, which you cannot get anymore. Nobody is making this length of coil. So what we have actually done is we've used the long length coil that you can buy. They're on eBay for about 22 quid, and then we've actually spaced it in between the two pickups on the magnetos core, so it sits in place without any spacers, any additional spacers at all. It just sits in between the two grub screws. One sort of holds it on and the other just stops it moving the other way, and it does spark and it does actually fire up. We have just had it fire over a couple of times with some WD-40 down the plug hole, and it does fire up, so the coil works perfectly fine. The only thing I haven't got for this engine is the exhaust that the other one has. Unfortunately we didn't get both of them, but I'm now debating whether they might be too loud anyway. There's no baffling in them at all. It makes an awful mess everywhere. It just covers itself in oil, covers all of its oil down here. So I'm actually thinking I might get two of the original Villiers silencers, the little pepper pot ones, which we will put on both engines so they look the same. And that way then they'll sound a little bit more like they should, and they should run a little bit quieter and a little bit happier as well, with a little bit of added back pressure. These sort of, well, they are just cut propane bottles, are pretty loud when they're sitting there just running, and it coats itself in oil all the time. And so I'm pretty sure I'm going to get two of those original style exhausts and just bolt them in place and be done with it. And then if the seller does ever find the other exhaust, then we could potentially put them both back to have the same type of exhaust. But I don't really want to start cutting open used gas bottles to try and weld up and make into exhausts, so that's not something I'm going to be trying, because I'll probably end up blowing myself up. The other thing this engine needs, we've taken it off of the other engine at the moment, is the rope start. I'm going to see if I can find anybody who's got a couple of the original ones for these engines. They either used to have a slightly bigger pulley which mounted directly onto this plate, or they had a smaller starter similar to this sort of one here, but this is for the, I think this is for a Villiers 15 or 12 or something like that, that used to screw onto the flywheel. We've actually had to drill and break out the screw fixings here so we could fix this to these engines. But we'll either get another one of those and do the same thing, or I'll try and get something else. So that's another thing we've got to source as well. So a little bit of work still to do on them, but this one I'm confident if I put some petrol in the carburetor would actually run, and should run just as well as the other engine. No nasty knocks, good compression. Overall, a nice engine. We managed to pick up another flywheel on eBay for next to no money whatsoever, so both engines have twin flywheels. Yeah, we're all trying to make them look the same to each other. So the other engines on that trolley, we'll make another one to exactly the same sizes, and they will both sit, one on that side, one on that side, with the cooling tank in the middle. So then both engines will be plumbed into the same tank. I always asked if I was going to put them on the same trolley like they were mounted before, but I think they'll be a bit of a handful. They are not the lightest of things when they've got two flywheels on them and all this gubbins going on and all the extra bits and pieces. So I think I'm going to leave them as standalone ones, and then I can display them anyway. They both sit in the house, so it'd be nicer to have them in different places. We've got to get a couple of plugs as well. The only plugs that seem to actually fit in these holes around the water jackets are Champion D16s. So I'm going to have to get a couple of those. I only have one between the two engines. I've tried NGK A6s, they don't fit. Basically you need an 18mm plug with this very thin part here. So that's what we're looking for. So we've got to get a couple more D16s. Yeah, so I should buy some exhausts, we'll get another starter pulley, and then we should hopefully be able to plumb them both up and have them both running at the same time. At the moment, for the first initial run, I should probably just keep this on here and put a normal little Briggs & Stratton or Suffolk exhaust on there and give it its first go. See what happens. It should run okay though.